Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission:
to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
To Scottish Sovereigns on land and the home of No Borders Radio.
Government, freedom, law, education, health, free energy, money, debt. Awake Radio, deconstructing the dream world, one lie at a time.
You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you? You know, for a second there, yeah. I kind of did.
I'm Erica Lost. NATO forces bombed Serbia and Kosovo. An unidentified man is being held for questioning by the FBI for suspected links to last month's biological virus deaths. In local news, a dog named Hero takes the grand prize at the annual... I wish I could tell you more pertinent news, but we're in a rating system here, and the key factor is sensationalism. They've got you running in circles, 9 to 5, then 5 to 9. You're mine. I tell you what they want you to know, and you consider it the truth. Nobody is opening their eyes. Our global economy is depleting the world of our lives and natural resources. And are you happy? Come on! I work for the system.
Well, if you filled up your gas tank lately, then you don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are on the rise. I know.
And at 12:09, welcome back in. The final days of the campaign sometimes can get a little salty.
Well, the final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
As you've probably noticed, the final days of the campaign have been, well, you might call them just a little salty.
If your email inbox is out of control and you've given up sorting it out, a Baltimore company thinks it has a solution for you. Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email
overload.
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload? Could this be the end of email overload? Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end to email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload?
Could this be the end of email overload? And welcome back to the show. I scream, you scream. You know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest. Well, I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, we all know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, well, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, well, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, and you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest. I scream, you scream, and you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
If you want a vision of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face.
Tonight, chewing on free trade. Tonight, market down, book sales up.
Tonight, award-winning style.
Here's the latest from the City Post News Team. Good evening. Our top story tonight, pitching free trade to Ontario's agriculture industry. Canada's ambassador to the United States, Ellen Gottlieb, is in town tonight trying to do just that.
Real people connecting with our audience, drawing from an established nationwide network, all under the Quebecor Media banner. Coast to coast, and as Canadian as you are, Sun News Network, hard news, straight talk, coming soon.
CTV National News with Lloyd Robertson. CTV National News with Lisa Leflam.
Thanks for being with us. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. We'll be here tomorrow, and of course, we hope you'll tune in.
Welcome to E-Talk. I'm Ben Mulrooney.
Good evening. I'm Gord Martineau.
Welcome to CBC News Toronto. I'm Anne-Marie Medaway.
And I'm Dwight Drummond.
Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Toronto.
I'm Peter Mansbridge. Thanks for watching.
Have you had enough propaganda from the corporate-controlled media? Break free from the mainstream. Join PressForTruth.tv.
What ruckus?
I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Could you describe the ruckus, sir?
Watch your tongue, young man. Watch it.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to Shazizz out here. Shazizz Mad Science out in his Mad Science Laboratory. You're listening to Awake Radio. You're listening to the Scottish Sovereigns, No Borders. You're listening to, oh man, we got so many networks. We got so much information and so much good news and things to share with you today. Oh, this ought to be an amazing show. I'm joined by some of the most amazing people in the world out here. Everybody out there want to sound off? Hello?
Girls.
We got Cultus.
Good morning.
We got Kent.
Hello. Yes.
We got Russ from RWG Research, and he's got a message to share with you all. We've got a big announcement for I'll just let him tell you. Go ahead, Russ.
All right, what's up, everybody? So I wanted to give everyone a fair notice. Pulse Motor Build-Off 2013. This is something that me and 10 Man Power put together for fun about a year ago. And we're having the third Pulse Motor Build-Off. It'll be starting in the matter of 24 hours. Nobody's supposed to know. Don't tell anybody until tonight. So, that being said, I want to just share and let everyone know the Pulse Motor Build-Off, what it is, a few of the rules and regulations, and why we do it. So, Pulse Motor Build-Off is actually something we do for fun. Now, the fun thing about it is there are real prizes. Oscilloscopes, there are fun electronic kits, all sorts of very cool equipment, things, and stuff. They will be giving away to the winners. How do you enter? Pulse Motor Build-Off, very easy to enter. Build something that rotates. Enter it into the competition. As long as it's being pulsed, it's considered a pulse motor. If it's rotating, it's a pulse motor. There isn't really many rules to this. It's a lot of fun. We do this to have fun. So I will inform you that the judges this year will be Steve Jones, Mark Danzy, and Zero Fossil Fuel. There will be two different categories this year. One is kind of the beginner category and most used of resources. And then there will be more of an advanced category that gives more people a fair chance that are beginners to win something. And then there will also be two separate hand-picked people, one by me and one by 10 Man, for just whatever reason we feel fit. So there's a chance for everybody to win. And even if you don't get a prize, if you come, you build, you do something, you get off your feet and do something. Well, I guess you don't get off your feet, you need to get on your feet. But if you do something, you're a winner. This is to get people involved, learn about the type of technology that we are trying to deal with the alternative energy field, and just get yourself involved. So I really just kind of wanted to share that with the networks. A couple of the links and information that you'll need to know. If you go to rwgresearch.com, there will be underneath the projects page, I believe, it might be underneath, actually I don't have it posted yet, but it will be posted at the RWG Research website. Also the open-source-energy.org, there will be a thread there, and the IAEC.formco thread, there'll be a thread there on the forums there. Now these things are not posted as of right this second in time, but if you're listening to this up to 24 hours later, this stuff is live. We want to give people a fair and even head start here. So yeah, I really don't have much more to say. Anybody want to add anything on the Pulse Motor Build-Off? Cultus, I know you will.
Yeah, well, the Pulse Motor Build-Off to me is a great chance for camaraderie, for old and new people to come and get involved. And to me, new people getting involved is something huge. We want, the brain's trust to grow. So, if you've never fiddled with a pulse motor before, if you've never been involved in alternative energy and free energy research, maybe this is your chance to get involved. Come along, especially both Russ's Forum and the International Alternative Energy Centre. We've got, tons tons of people who are extremely helpful. You're not going to find people who are condescending and going to batter you out for any ideas you come up with. You know, this is not an exact science that we work with. This is something that, you know, we have to do just, you know, out of our own imaginations at the best of times, you know, and just run with what we see. So,
well, I'd like to add to that, Cultus. I'd like to add to that. You know, what is great about what you're hearing right now is Cultus and RWG Research and shazizz.com and all of us people out there working on alternative energy such as Tin Man, Muddy Mud Man. We are on track to making sure that one day everyone out there has free energy, and that's my ultimate goal. And I believe that I know there's no energy crisis in the world. You know, that's just you know, whatever. But I'm gonna prove 150,000% beyond the shadow of a doubt free energy. That's my ultimate goal, to take people away from the burden of the electric companies. But essentially, all these brilliant minds coming to bear. We're working on virtual labs. We've got so many different people that are working on every subject under the sun for every type of alternative energy. And one of us is going to crack the nail right on the head, and we're going to get it. What do you think, Cultus?
For sure, mate. For sure. One of us is going to stumble under the rock eventually, don't we?
Yep.
That's him.
Yep. This is your guys' chance to get a head start on that right there. If you have no idea how to construct such a pulse motor or anything, it's actually very, very, very simple. You can take a old hard drive head and hot glue some magnets on it and grab yourself a reed switch from Radio Shack and get a battery and let her rip. I mean, a couple of coils and you're on your way. So this is your opportunity to get involved in a way that people will help you. You'll get to share your information. You'll get to see people build stuff. And there'll be just a whole slew of wonderful information come out of this pulse motor build-off. So this is your chance to get involved, have some fun, and most importantly, learn and share the knowledge. That is the key to success in an alternative energy world.
Exactly. And you hit a key point, Russ, that sharing the knowledge thing, because you know, if you go out there and somebody's trying to sell you a free energy device or plans thereof, just walk away, because there's guys out here like Russ and Cultus and myself and Muddy who are showing you how to build this stuff. They're teaching you on the way different things and giving you different types of solutions that are worth looking into. And so this information to me belongs to the world. It's like old lost technology rediscovered and so on. And here we are, we're sharing it for free with the world, and that's our ultimate goal, is to make our world a better place, one positive pebble at a time. What do you guys think?
The only way to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think this radio show and all of the different things that people are doing and putting effort into is 100% worth it. So the Pulse Motor Build-Off is 100% voluntary. We do this to teach, learn, have a little fun, and give some prizes away in the process. So keep that in mind. And on that note, I'm going to let the radio show go on. I'm going to hit the hay. I've been up for too many hours.
All righty. Thank you very much, Russ. It's always an honor to have you on the show, brother. You know what? You got an open door anytime, so just jump in here and join us in whenever you feel free.
You got it, brother. It's a good time. I just got off work. Unfortunately, I have to be back at work in about 11 hours. So normally, I might have to hit you up one time and we'll have a long talk about this crisis and or no crisis we're having.
All right, brother. I'm here for that. You get some good sleep. Who we got here?
Steve.
Steve, simply Steve, or just Steve. Yeah, that's it.
How you doing, guys?
Good to hear you, brother.
Just one quick comment on the energy crisis.
Yeah.
The true energy crisis is our energy is being put towards pointless tasks.
I agree.
They're mostly filling out bits of paper.
Well, see, they want to make us believe that there's an energy crisis so that they can sell us $4 and $5 and $6 and maybe $10 fuel one day and charge us high electricity bills. Well, us guys out here in the alternative energy section, we're showing you how to make engines run on hydrogen. We're showing you how to make lead crystal batteries. We're showing you how to make electric generators out of junk. We're showing you everything under the sun. We're rediscovering and reinventing and inventing new things at all times, and we're sharing it with the world. And to me, you know, the energy crisis is out there. If all of us are able to do what it is that we're doing, you can imagine what they have capabilities of doing with all the big factories and technology that they have access and the money that backs them behind. Most of us out here, we fund this right out directly out of our pockets. You know, we scrounge around for parts, and we look for wire and electrical things and old motors and stuff like that, and we build things out of things that already exist. So we're literally recycling things to show you how to tap into the energy that is the earth itself. And so with that said, there is no energy crisis other than what Steve just pointed out, is them draining our energy. We go out there and work our butts off to pay high food bills and high electric bills and high fuel bills, and farmers are struggling trying to keep crops in the field because the gas prices keep going up and so on and so forth. And so people like us, we know that there's a better way, and we're not going to allow the system to beat us down any longer. We're just going to keep sharing this information as fast, as furious, as free as we can possibly do it. And so I hope that everybody keeps the ball rolling on this deal right here. We've got so many networks that have joined us in just the last few days alone. Right now we are broadcasting out to multiple networks in all different directions. And we got information flowing, and we got so many things going on, and so many really cool projects on the way. So, man, I need to take a breath. Who wants to take over?
Well, I've got some good news. I've got one of my buddies that's a server specialist interested, so hopefully I'll be able to bring the whole virtual labs on a bit faster.
Right on. Great.
He's a busy man. That's good news.
And then, anyway, I'd also like to point out that there's some new hosts to Shazizz Radio, and a lot of us are old friends from back in the day there, and so here we are. You know, you can't break good men and women down, man. We're going to keep this ball rolling. We started our own network bigger and badder than before, and so with that said, we're still broadcasting. What do you guys think?
Yeah, mate. You cannot keep good men or women down. And, yeah, no matter what happens, mate, we're always going to be here to pick each other up.
Man, I am just so excited about this whole deal. How you doing, Kent? You got to put your 2 cents in there.
You're excited, Shazizz.
Oh, man.
Can't hardly get a word in edgewise. You're so excited.
Well, I'm going to give you the time to speak because, I got to catch my breath. I'm getting dizzy. I'm losing all my oxygen. Probably taking up some years.
I was going to ask Russ what he had going in his lab, but I guess he's taken off now, so we'll have to do that again another day.
Oh, you should.
How's everybody else doing? Looks like we got Scott back.
Cool.
We did have Scott back. He's having computer issues. And I think he's just had another little heart attack.
Uh-oh, we lost Colton, sir. What in tarnation's going on?
Hola, I'm back. Scott, there you go.
All right. Yeah. Turn your radio off.
Oh my goodness, yeah, turn the stream off in the background, Scott. I can hear it. The redneck world order strikes again.
Yeah, rank amateur. Oh, man.
Banjos and your cousins.
Hey, turn your radio off.
Scott, can you turn down the stream in the background there? We can hear ourselves. I think his computer's lagging. He's trying.
Oh. All right. Well, where were we, Kent?
I don't know. We were gonna discuss the topic of the day, which is.
Oh, the topic of the day. We are putting together an event for next weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We've got a lot of people behind the scenes putting together a episode called Shout It From a Mountain. And essentially what that's all about is that we want to bring people represented from every single nation of the world in all points of the compass. And if you have something on your mind and something on your heart that you wish just for 1 day or 2 days, whatever, you could stand on top of a mountain, shout it from the mountain, and tell the whole world what's on your heart, what you think you could do to share the love and make the world a better place. It's your opportunity to call in live to so many different hosts, 24 hours a day, for 2 days solid. We're going to try to produce this Shout It From the Mountain. And so if you got a mountain near you and you got a laptop or a cell phone with network capabilities and want to call in to any one of the shows, call in from Japan and say, I'm standing on top of Mount Fuji and I want to share the love with the world, or whatever's on your mind. You know, I'm sure we're going to get a couple wild folks in there, but we got the finger on the red button just in case, right, Cultus?
That's what we're onto them already.
Yeah, we're ready for them.
For those, just a point for those people in various locations around the planet, a mountain doesn't mean an active volcano.
Oh, yeah, stay away from the hot spots.
Well, it could do if you've got a video camera, you know. We could live.
But that would be a live science experiment with real consequences, wouldn't it?
Well,
but no nipping up the side of the mountain with a thermometer just to check the temperature of a volcano. We know it's hot.
To make this
nothing
easy,
like a pool of boiling magma to really set your day off.
There's so many good people in this world from all different countries, all different points of the globe, that a lot of them are such good folks. They just got something on their heart. Maybe they just want to stand on top of that mountain and tell everybody, you know, can't we all just get along? Shout it out, and just to think that you would have everyone in the world hearing what is on your heart at that time, sharing your love across the international boundaries to all nations. We want everyone represented. We want everyone from Canada to Russia to China to Japan, England, Britain, Scotland, and America, all over the world. We want everyone to join us up here at the Shout at the Mountain on Shazizz Radio, Awake Radio, We Roar Radio, No Borders Radio. I mean, the list just goes on. I could sit here for about 20 minutes and name every single network that's come on board on this thing, and I'm telling you, we've got a lot of good individuals behind the scenes promoting this episode on Facebook and YouTube, and we're going to get a few more videos out there on YouTube to get even more people involved. This could be an amazing thing, because I'm telling you, folks, in the world that we live in today, it is just so crazy, and the average Joe, this isn't our view of what we want our children and our children's children to live in. We want a good, positive message out there. We want a good, positive move forward, and I believe that shouting from a mountain that we ain't going to take it anymore from the global elite or the money makers of the world, the ones that essentially don't care nothing about filling their wallets or whatever. You know, we want to represent those folks out there in need. And so, with that said, anybody else got anything to point out on that?
Yeah, just while you're pointing out people who are involved, we'll throw out a big thank you to Chrissy, who managed to get Vinny Eastwood from the Vinny Eastwood Show to actually be involved in this as well. He's a pretty big name in there as well.
All right.
Yeah.
He says Vincent Eastwood wears the same underpants as the rest of us, mate.
Yeah,
he might be a big name, and he may have earned his dues, but he's still a human being.
Exactly right. Good effort on Chrissy's behalf, was it not?
Well, oh, definitely, yeah.
I think it was my point.
When you're standing at the top of the mountain shouting it out, though, it doesn't have to be about hardcore Tesla tech. It doesn't have to be about pulse motor zips. Whatever solutions you may have that you think others might benefit from.
I agree.
It doesn't have to be at the top of the lungs.
I agree.
It doesn't have to be at the top of the mountain either. But if you can get up there, fair enough.
But if you can get on a hill, get on a mountain, You can call in from wherever you're at in this world, and we want you to be heard. We want what's on your heart and your mind that you think can make this world a better place, a positive solution for the world. This ain't an opportunity to get on there and tell everybody, hit the bricks or whatever like that. It's to get on there, put a positive message out there, and tell the world, all the nations of the world, we don't want to send our children to your country and shoot your children, and you don't want to send your children to our country and shoot our children. And with that said, we got a better vision for humanity, for the future of the world. We want everyone out there to reach across boundaries with their knowledge, with their love, with their resources, and share amongst one another to ensure that one day there is no starving baby to talk about. There is no child in a war-torn zone. There is no sickness. There is no so-called energy crisis or some crazy terrorist hiding behind some bush out there. We want to represent all nations, all beliefs, all backgrounds. We want to represent we the people of the world towards building a better world for all of humanity. Does anybody here disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree at all.
Well, I will say...
Well, go ahead and say it.
Sorry, what I will say is they've been trying to fix world poverty, world hunger, world debt since 1985 from the Live Aid concert. That's when I was 13. Now I'm 41 years old and they still haven't fixed the problem. So if you think chucking a few coins in a plastic bucket on the high street with somebody, what we call charity chugging, is going to fix any problems. Well, they've been at it for most of my life. So we're going to have to come up with a different solution, guys.
I don't think they've really tried. I think they've done a bunch of media opportunities, and that's about it. Nobody's really tried. If we took all of the money that we spend out there killing each other and put it towards like feeding some of these starving nations or getting their infrastructure built so they can feed themselves, the problem would be solved.
And how, brother? You couldn't have said it better. You know, it's going to be we, the people, that make the difference. You're not going to be able to count on some sort of representative because we've seen their track record, just like Steve pointed out, all these years. Oh, I'm 47 years old, and I can remember the commercials going way back to when I was a child. There's a baby starving somewhere in the world. Send us your money. Okay, well, then when we send them their money, we never know what portion of that money actually gets there to those folks. And then we know that before the actual food actually even makes it to them, that there's rebels out there that end up stealing it before they get there. So if you're going to amass an army of a might that will walk that food in there and hand it to them directly. That way that there's no way that they're not going to get the gifts that's been given from all points of the nations, all points of the globe. Walk it over there. I love it when Dublin coined the phrase guerrilla charity, you know. Essentially run by and give some homeless man a sandwich and run off. And it was like, you know, who was that masked man? But this sure is a great sandwich. Oh, man, what do you guys think about that?
That's exactly what we need more of in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
More people who just, you've got another shirt at home. Give the man the shirt off your back right now.
Go plant a garden in some poor neighborhood, you know. I'm telling you, the reason why I do what it is that I do, and the reason why I call it mad science, is because all these years that people have been basically indoctrinating all the minds of the world, telling them that there's set laws of physics. You just can't get past these. You can't do this. You can't do that. And all the science and all the knowledge and all the technology that you see before your very eyes, such as your cell phones, satellites, space stations, and so on and so forth. All this technology. You want to tell me that with all this technology that corporations and governments of the world couldn't use this science to better humanity? I mean, they can build a great bomb. They can build a smart bomb. They can build a laser-guided. They can build a self-guided. They can build a heat-seeking. And so mad science comes in there where it just infuriates me that guys like Al Gore, who just here recently tried to say that if you don't believe in global warming, that's about the same as being a racist. Are you guys racist?
Yeah. I don't like those alien fellas. They're all green and weird looking.
Yeah, the bug-eyed guys won't share their technology with the average Joe.
Shazizz, the earliest records we have, as I understand it, in recorded human history are the Vedic texts. They're Indian religious texts that are roughly around 8,000 years old. We've had armies of fighters covering the span of this globe for 8,000 years. How about we have an army of lovers instead?
And how? Man, well said.
People hoped.
Yeah.
The world we live in is the world that we built ourselves. These elite groups didn't build it, they just told everybody else what to do. So how about we build a better place by not doing what they tell us to do?
That's it. Yeah.
We were silly enough to follow, that's all it was.
But doggone it, I gotta chew you guys out. You can always trust your government.
Vote bong water. I think you have to change that link on the site. On the Knights of the Round Table page. You wish you looked this good with a lipferret.com last ago.
Yes.
I was putting random stuff in at the time, though, so forgive me.
So what's your thoughts on it, Kent?
Oh, my thoughts?
Yeah.
I think the problem that we've got is we have too much industrial military complex, like Rockwell and Boeing and General Dynamics and all those companies that pretty much cow everybody else into doing really stupid things like, well, the United States has gotten really good at bombing brown people for some reason, and it just really irritates the hell out of me.
I agree, brother. And it's not we the people that want to do it. See, when we say United States, or when we say Russia, or when we say Britain, or Ireland, or Scotland, we're not painting with a wide brush. We're talking about those that are in charge up there. Those are our supposed representatives. Like we said, we don't want to send our children over to kill your children. We want to get in the backyard and have a barbecue with you guys. We want to come over there and send our children over there to hug your children, to make the world a better place. So the only way that this is ever going to stop is when we, the people, decide that we're going to stop feeding a beast that's eating us alive. We have the knowledge. We have, right now, we are sitting on a gold mine, a knowledge that is the internet, that we can use this knowledge and this technology at this point in time to shout our voices out there, to make our voices heard, and to make our hearts known. And with that said, man, we're on the right track. Our network is growing on a mass scale, and it's growing so rapidly that it's kind of hard to keep up with everybody. So if I didn't mention your network and you're rebroadcasting right now, you know who you are, and I appreciate it. Cultus appreciates, Kent appreciates it, Michael appreciates it, all the world appreciates it, and you're doing an amazing service to humanity by allowing individuals to get up and speak their heart and tell the world what's what. And that's why the Knights of the Round Table is such an important deal, because it is your platform that you can come up there and you can seek the solutions and share ideas for those solutions to benefit all your brothers and sisters around the world. What do you guys think? Don't everybody jump on the horse at once.
I think it's Scott's turn.
Scott?
Yeah. I think, I'll put it in words there. I look at the man, he wants money. He figures the world's overpopulated. He thinks that they need to get rid of us. Because if there's too many people, then the money that's left is less per person, so therefore everybody's poor. They want to be rich. If there's less of us, then there's more money for each of them. And they got more land, and they can do what they want. And I don't think the man cares.
Scott, what do you think about the?
If we stand up and take care, and be heard.
Scott, what do you think about the kids graduating from school that can't even read?
Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's just plumb wrong. I mean, I had a little bit of problem with reading when I was a kid because I was dyslexic. But they put me in the class, and I did real well. They found out I was pretty smart, and I started passing things. And I always had good grades. I didn't like writing or reading, and I had the problem with it. But I finally, I adjusted to it. I'd read things up and down rather than left and right. Kind of saved the confusion. The order still was a little messed up. But that's a great thing to do. You put somebody in class, you teach them they've got a disability, they can overcome it. Now, dyslexia doesn't even bother me now. But to not give somebody that's not right. To not even give him the attention enough to make sure he can read it's like a man that ain't got no shoes, can't get a job because he ain't got no shoes, can't get no shoes because he ain't get, it's an endless deal. You don't allow that kid to read, then how's he supposed to study and learn everything else you're teaching him? You ain't got time to teach him to read, you ain't got time to teach.
And how, brother? You can't just let people fall through the cracks, because those individuals out there, like Scott was saying, there's some folks out there can't get a job just because they're homeless. They don't have an address to put on their application or a phone number to be contacted, no shoes to wear to work or whatever. So with what we're talking about, with Dublin's phrase, guerrilla charity, go help your brothers and sisters out, man. Help them up. Give them a hand up, What do you think, Scott?
That's it. I think really the government doesn't really care as much as they ask. They put out, because look, if you're trying to get rid of us, well, shoot, keep them stupid. Let them, don't worry about his health. Don't worry about this, because they're poor, so they'll die out. And then you have little people like you. They're very self-centered. Their humor is totally different than ours. They're sick. They're actually sick. They don't care about anybody but themselves. And they'll never have enough money.
Yeah, that's right. While those folks are out there eating caviar on the tax dollars that we go out and work hard for, and there's some guy out there that ain't even got a piece of bread, that's pretty shameful. That's not representation, a man out there starving to death, or a child or a family starving because, they ain't got no work or they ain't got whatever. There's no reason for that. What I think we need to do is have a bread and butter day for all of our representatives around the world. We go there and we tell them, look, we're going to feed you all dinner. We're going to show you what the average Joe has to eat for dinner whenever gas prices are ridiculous and food prices are ridiculous and jobs are scarce. We're going to show you what the average Joe, the real man out there, real we the people, what we eat. And see how they would enjoy a meal of bread and butter, Because, believe me, I come from a background by which I was poor when I was a child. We ate things called split pea soup, and cabbage and things that would probably churn the rich man's gut.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. I like split pea soup and cabbage.
Well, you can have my portion, brother.
And onions, too.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
All right.
Shazizz.
Yeah.
A valid method of eliminating poverty shouldn't be sending young men and women to war so they get killed.
Exactly.
I agree. And here's the thing. We've all said this. And Kent just mentioned it a while ago. If we can spend all the money, the millions and trillions that it takes to put bullets and ammunition and medical supplies and tanks and bombs and all that onto a foreign land to kill the brown people, Why couldn't we take that same amount of force, that same amount of energy and finance, and go over there and feed the other people starving in the world? Because while there's somebody starving on one side of the world, we're over there blowing somebody out of their home on the other side of the world, killing their ma and their pa, you know. Now you got homeless children out there. Another burden on humanity that these children can't even have their parents to grow up with. See, this sickens me to the core.
Or how about this? How about the children that are the collateral damage from King Obama's drone strikes?
Exactly. You know,
nobody wants to talk about all that collateral damage of suspected. I mean, these guys, they're not even sure if they are. They're just suspected. They just have to be suspected to be a terrorist. And they'll drop a bomb on your ass. It's gone completely insane. It's out of control. This shit needs to stop.
That same man gets on TV. That same man gets on TV and he talks about protecting the children. You know, okay, protect the children in the United States, but what about the children overseas? I agree with you, Kent, and it's infuriating. The collateral damage, that is just a sugar-coated word to say you just murdered some children across the deal just so that you can get somebody who you thought possibly might be a bad guy. And to me, this doesn't represent the United States of America. This doesn't represent we, the people of the United States. This represents bad representation of nations around this world that fall under the so-called United Nations deal. We don't need no one world government. We need we the people to use common sense and tell these elected representatives, hold on, that's not what we want and that's not what you're going to do because we are not going to fund it. What do you guys think?
We're the ones who feed the beast.
Well, the thing of this, guys, is until the message gets out there and people stop re-electing these representatives, because basically once they get elected the first time, people just keep re-electing them and putting them back in and putting them back in instead of picking. You know, there should be term limits on Congress and the Senate. There should be like a president. You know, 2 terms, that's it, you're out.
And Kent,
but these guys get in there and they get embedded like a Texas tick, sucking on the tit of the society for their entire life.
Yeah, and Kent, there's one other thing to point out there as well, is that the media, the mainstream media out there, puts this out there as if it was your favorite NFL game. This isn't your NFL game. This isn't Dancing with the Stars. This is real life, real choices, real consequence. When you go to a voting poll and you're voting because you want the blue team to win or the red team to win, left-right paradigm, you've been dumbed down by the mainstream media and you've been fed, if you're a liberal, you've been fed liberal disinformation. If you are a conservative, you've been fed conservative disinformation. You need to seriously get out there and do some real research about that guy before you put your stamp of approval on him.
You need to know who you're voting for because it matters.
It does. It matters in a major way. It matters to that child over there that just got drone striked.
Yeah. Him and his 14 other buddies or 12 other buddies that happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm with you, dude. I get entirely infuriated with the whole thing. It's wrong. It's not what this nation was based on. It's upside down and backwards.
It's not representative of we the people. It's never been representative of we the people. You know, maybe in the beginning when we all started off and we actually had some morals with our society, you know, but that's even been diminished, tarnished. Our society's morals are going down the toilet, you know. Even if you don't believe in God, that's one thing. But, you know, to take some sort of morals out of society saying, well, you can't say God in church or you can't do this or you can't do that. And now on the mainstream side of the media and TV and Hollywood, you can put things out there where people are doing terrible things, sawing each other's arms off, murdering people, little kids running around talking about when they grow up like they want to be an army man, you know, they want to run around and shoot and kill people. Little children dreaming of one day being a soldier. without realizing that part of being a soldier means that you might actually have to take a human life. And so, with that said, what we are teaching our children from all nations of the world is how to be desensitized to killing another human. So, we're definitely not on the right track. And with these networks that we've come together with, We Roar Radio, Awake Radio, Ryan Network, Shazizz Radio, No Borders Radio, with all these networks, we're going to use our mad science to try to put the common sense information, alternative energy, alternative food, alternative medicine, so that when these global elite, basically tear the system down, we're going to be ready for them. And they ain't going to have no more food. They ain't going to have no more taxes. They're going to have to come to us for knowledge that they don't have anymore, because once they tear the system down, there's nobody going to reelect them. There's no nation that will be together to even have a voting, because they'll literally destroy it all with their stupidity. And so with that said, it's very important when you pull that lever at that voting poll. Anybody disagree with that?
I actually wonder if it matters who you vote for, whether or not they all read from the same book, and no matter who you're going to vote for, you're going to end up with the same crap.
Well,
that's something
the thing of it is that that's if you go with a left or right party. But if you study some of the other people, some of the independents and like the new people that just like fell out of heaven and landed in the political scene and they're actually trying to do something, that might be your best candidate, is to just remove all of the garbage that's been in there for 30 or 40 years and put new people in.
I agree. Vote for the average Joe, man. Vote for the farmer that's been on his farm and knows what it is to make a living. Vote for the mailman.
Don't be voting for these people that spent $500 or $600 million for a presidential election. I mean, that's bought and paid for.
Yep.
Look for that. Look for the guy that's way underfunded. He's got a few YouTube videos. If we get some kind of grassroots movement going on somebody that's just fresh out, they got to do a better job than those people that have been in there, running with lobbyists and most of the people, after they leave the office, they become lobbyists for some industry, the drug pharmacy or Pharmacom and the military or whatever. They all end up lobbying on it.
Yep, they're selling out to the corporation. So with that said, when you get a good man on his way to the office and you get him elected, then you protect him with everything you got, because the mainstream media always tries to demonize anybody who doesn't go with the left-right paradigm, because they too have interests such as investors and so on.
They try to ignore them.
Yeah, look what they did to Ron Paul.
Well, they marginalized Ron Paul. They marginalize anybody that's not either the left or the right. They're two puppets.
So
what do you got? Five Cody for president?
Yeah, I'll vote for Cultus.
That's right.
And here's the thing: when you get on the news and you start hearing them demonizing somebody, chances are that's a good guy, because they don't never demonize the bad guys that are out there sending drones into foreign nations. They don't demonize the Republicans or the Democrats, except for those two Democrats and Republicans demonizing each other for a power struggle. These individuals out there who are our so-called representatives are literally sitting around playing chess, playing with the world as if it was some sort of game, whoever wins gets the power kind of thing. And look at the destruction. They haven't solved poverty. They haven't solved starvation. They haven't solved sickness. You can't sell drugs if there ain't nobody sick. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Shazizz, I'm sending everyone a tune there by new order called The Vanishing Point. I think it's thrown it into Skype there. If you want to play that in a while when you want to take a break or something.
All right.
That really does speak to the idea that little children should stop suffering in the world.
I agree,
and that's,
brother.
Very close to my heart, because I've seen the first-hand experience in third world countries of Western foreign policy. It's tendency is a killed with no parents. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, think about
We sit
that.
in our homes and we watch our big little square in the corner, and we go to the social club on the weekend, and we go to the sports matches and whoop like people in the gladiatoriums in Rome. All the while, you've got 6, 7-year-old children sleeping on dirt being fed by the Red Cross in Kabul, in parts of Iraq and Afghanistan, all over the world. But that's what it comes down to, is we vote these people in, and they send our young people across the waters, across the sea, to go and blow people up. For what?
Yeah, and in that process, we get what we already talked about, so-called collateral damage. To me, it's not collateral damage; it's murder. And let's call it what it is. It's murder.
Like we discussed on Nights last week that none of us have got the incentive to want to go over and fight each other.
No.
Here we are, a group of people from all different countries, and not a single one of us has got one care in the world to go over and start a fight with the other one. We all just want to be brothers. We all just want to be friends.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line. So, as I said last week, who's making us go over there and start these fights?
Well, you know what, man? It sickens me to the core, because, you know, I think about my children growing up, and I watch all the things that's going on in the world, and them talking about, you know, a possible draft or whatever, or we got to go in and fight with somebody else or whatever. I think about my child getting drafted in, or my child joining the military or whatever, and going over these foreign nations under the guise of patriotism. And if my son isn't fully aware of what's going on around in the world, and he thinks he's going over there to protect the United States from terrorists, my son goes over there under false pretenses, and maybe possibly takes another person across the world's life, you know, and it affects him for the rest of his life. This isn't what we represent. We the people do not want this stuff. We don't want World War III. We don't want civil wars. All we want to do is raise our families, our children, and our grandchildren in peace, and we want to make friends, brothers and sisters around the world. That's what we want. Where's our representation? That's what I'm asking. Anybody know?
He's hiding behind the cupboard.
Yeah, like the terrorist.
Yeah,
I think
every time you open the door somewhere, there's some fella leaping out with a pamphlet in his hand saying, "Vote for me, and I'll change things. I'll make it worse."
Yeah.
What was you saying, Scott?
Since when has somebody ever knocked on your front door during election time, and you have any belief that they could make anything better? I mean, a real belief that, yeah, I vote for this lady or this man, and they're going to go in and they're going to be part of this whole corrupt system and make things better for people.
Well, so far they've done a lousy job.
When they come knocking on me door during the elections, I ask them one question, and that is, what do you think you can actually achieve?
That's a good question. What do you think, Scott?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm thinking as far as all the wars and stuff, I'll say take the leaders, if that's what if they want to fight, and just put them all inside the Super Bowl and let them all fight it out. Who wins, wins. If there's more than one standing, then they better be friends. And that's the way I look at it. And you know, we don't need to. You know, they hire all these people, tell them they got to do this, set them up this, that, boom, boom, boom. Now, I do believe in defense. I do believe in that, but I don't believe in going over for offense. But then again, they say, oh, well, he had to go over there or they'd be over here quick. So we needed to get them before they could overthrow us with what they got. Blah, blah, blah. They spread a big old deal, and I don't know. It's all about the money. It's all one central system above the government.
Brainwashing, stillment of...
I just say, you know, if it's 3 or 4, you know, let's take the Rothschilds, let's take the Firestones, and what do they call it, all the Illuminati. You put them all in there, and I know they're all at war with each other, trying to get the top of the deal, but they're all playing the same game. Just put them all in there and let them fight it out, and, you know, then it'll all be safe. You leave us alone. Let us grow our food. Let us do, you know, let us have our clean water back. Stop trying to make every money. Stop trying to keep all the gold for yourself so when we're all gone, you're rich. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to eat the gold?
Mm.
You know?
Well, you know what, guys?
You can eat monatomic gold, but it does need a certain amount of processing first.
Yeah, but do not sell your gold, people. Whatever you do not sell your gold.
You know what, guys?
When you go, make sure it's not plated. Or your silver.
You know what, guys? Hey, this is...
Exactly.
So, has anyone seen that story floating around the internet the last couple of weeks? About the gold-plated bullions?
You mean titanium bullion with the gold plating on it?
That's the one, yep.
Yeah, it's been knocking around for a couple of years, mate.
Yeah, well, I only just realised that, only come across a post about it in the last couple of weeks. It's been splattered all over the internet the last couple of weeks. It's suggested that...
where is it?
Gold bullion.
Sitting in our treasury?
People who own gold bullion should be scratching at the surface to make sure it's not coated.
Well, you know what, guys? This
has to be titanium.
This is all the more reason. What we're talking about here, everything that we've talked about on today's show, and all the information that we've shared with everyone, is all the more reason why it is so important for alternative energy, alternative food, alternative medicine, because we're not getting the representation. And these guys are setting us on a path to sure destruction. And so, until we achieve world peace via we the people, until we get everybody on board and wake up the minds and the hearts and the souls of the nations of the world, we need to keep on track. We need to keep these networks going. We need to keep shouting out common sense with every turn that we can get. And so with that said, alternative energy, learning how to make yourself a generator that in worst case scenario you lose the power grid, whether it be man-made disaster or a natural disaster. These are important things such as insurance that you can actually put there to protect your family and benefit your knowledge and your friends all around you, all that kind of stuff. This is why this network is so important. Does anybody disagree with that?
Network is very important. I'm going to tell you something else. You forgot one category, and the most important of all. Water.
Yep.
Water is the most amazing thing on this planet. And without, 3 days, you're gone. You ain't going 40 days. You ain't going a month. You ain't going very long without water. And look, they pipe it into your house from the upper part of the stream, and then they poop out the bottom end of the stream. The next city drinks the poop and poops out more out the next one. And as it goes down the river, it gets so, people, well, it's kind of brown. Well, that's just humus. Well, yeah.
Well, one thing about water
there's
is...
a little bit more in that humus in that drink. There's chemicals, there's all sorts of other things. And while the government systematically poison it, and like you said, you were talking about the takedown all the different methods, it's all systematic. It's all systematic. It's running downhill. Everything, we're getting poisoned by our food, getting poisoned by our water, getting poisoned. I think this is the one thing I think a lot of people need to get ready for. Let's get you a solar distiller. You put the water in it, let the sun hit it, hits the glass, rolls down, and you got pure water. I don't care if it ain't got vitamins. It ain't got poison.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing. And one other thing about water is this. Water is fuel for the body. Good fresh water is fuel for the body. But it also can be used as fuel for your car.
Yeah, and you're 98% water. So what's the condition of the water in your body? Is it time to detox and actually feel energetic? I don't see very many people energetic. And around here, I don't see very many people in town that's energetic. I don't see I think the main thing people want to do is go out and drink and, well, that's not detoxified by any chance. It does take their vitamins out. But I think a lot of people need to detox.
You got a point.
Get these heavy metals out of your body. It goes out the bottom of your feet. Soak your feet in Epsom salt.
You got a point, Scott, because if you go
get your body clear, get your health back, start feeling better.
If you go to
I take my water, I put it in jars in the window. I let the sun hit it, kills off all the cryptosporidium and everything else in it, and it gives it time for 24 hours to let the chlorine get out of it. Then I pour it through a filter. It goes into my coffee maker and comes out, and I got some much better water than the rest of Granbury to drink and make my coffee with.
You hit a point on there about how people are literally sick. If you go to your local shopping center, just go out sometime in the middle of the night and go shopping at some 24-hour mall, and just as you're walking through there, look at the eyes of these people. Look at these people. They're sick. And they, you know, like I said earlier, you can't sell drugs if you don't keep people sick. And so those folks out there, excuse me, that don't believe that there's a conspiracy to kill humanity, go out there and look at your average Joe. Go out there and look at corporations that go to places like Mexico because there's less regulations, and they literally pollute the water near the towns where these people have to live. So, and on the sewer portion of it, you know, there's no regulation.
It goes the full length of the stream.
Yeah.
It goes full length of the stream. Look, I'm on the beautiful Brazos River, man. The Brazos River Authority sells the water upstream. They damn it, we get very little. Our fish are, there ain't a fish alive in this down here. I ain't kidding you about the water situation. We got the worst water in Texas. And the thing is, it's just, it's not a river anymore. Where it was like, I don't know, it would take you about 5-10 minutes to get all the way across it. But, yeah, right now it's a brook. I'm telling you, they got so much of the water, they'll let enough to run through to go down and keep the power plant going. You know, I don't know, man. There ain't very much water here. And even after it rains, the river doesn't fill up but for a day, and it's right back down to almost nothing.
Well, and for those folks out there,
across there, they were talking a few years ago about cutting some of the limbs and stuff that were down into the water, the old trees that were there before.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, you can walk out there and do it now. You don't need a boat.
For those folks out there that don't believe that they tamper around with the weather, and they don't believe that the governments hire people to go out there and geoengineer the land, you go out and talk to some farmers and ask them how come their trees are just falling over. How come they're getting strange funguses and killing off trees? How come some of their crops are growing in odd ways? Ask people how come there's so many fish dying off or birds falling from the sky. It ceases to be a conspiracy when birds start dropping from the sky and fish start beaching themselves on the shore. Tell me, folks, there's people out there, you know, that are doing some crazy stuff supposedly under the guise of protecting us from so-called global warming, which we all know because of the basic science is a crock.
Let's get into that subject. You were sitting there, you were talking about how they cure certain diseases by running a magnetic frequency through them.
Yeah.
A little RF. Well,
Raymond Rife, Royal Raymond Rife.
It wasn't HARP. Oh, what do you think, man? They found the frequency of them birds and knocked them out of the sky. They can triangulate by all the antennas and stuff. Don't give me that load of crap that they ain't doing it.
Well, here's the thing.
I've seen fire tornadoes right over water with electrical shot going down, and the dolphins were getting burnt.
Scott, I saw with my own two eyes, I saw the grid patterns in the sky. All right. Now, people kept saying they were just contrails, normal ice trails, but, you know, I was a science geek since I was just a yay high to a grasshopper. Now, you can imagine if they are really spraying aluminum and barium salts in the air, and you're a bird, and you're flying, and birds have little tiny respiratory systems, and you're a bird, you fly through a mass of this stuff right there, it's going to choke you out. And if you can't breathe, you can't flap your wings, and you fall out of the sky. And then they turn around and try to say, oh, well, it was because of fireworks. Brother, you had fireworks when you was a kid. Dublin had fireworks. Cultus had fireworks. Kent had fireworks. We all had fireworks when we were kids. We never seen birds falling out of the sky because of fireworks.
Never, ever once.
So, is it a conspiracy? Well, I would say if it ain't a conspiracy, it's stupidity, and that's worse. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean,
it's systematic.
Well, we got the solution, guys.
Our dog off an election. That's a choreograph, you know. It's all planned.
We've got the solution. We, the people, have the solution. And that's doing exactly what we're doing right now. Not sitting around just complaining about it, but showing people, hey, You can take this old microwave and you can turn it into a generator, or you can take and you can grow food with aquaponics and hydroponics, and you can actually build a system self-contained that will feed the fish and give your plants nutrients at the same time. You can use solar power. You can take some old brake drums and you can make an actual flux wind turbine like Muddy, and you can even carve your own props. So we are pointing out the solutions out there. We, the people, have the solutions. And then what we need to do is keep these networks growing. We need to keep on putting this information out to each and every person out there who will listen. And then those out there, I always say this, and this is really important. You need to live your life and lead by example. If you live your life in a good way and people out there see things in your life and they think that, hey, you know, old Shazizz over there, he looks like a pretty happy camper and he's always saying peace and love. I kind of like that. I'm going to adopt that into my life. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Lads, what it comes down to is all the time we have electrical power coming to our house that's supplied by somebody else, that supply can be regulated and we can be charged out of actually being able to use it, which is insane. But that's the way it's going at the minute. They want you to pay for water, they want you to pay for electricity, they want to pay for all of these resources that are all around us that they're constantly polluting.
And carbon tax.
I mean, that's part of the reason why they feel they have to run water through a cleaning system is because there's so much pollution out there.
Carbon tax infuriates me. It just makes me so mad because you breathe out CO2 for Pete's sake. They're charging you to breathe.
Yeah, €22.50 a tonne in the Republic of Ireland at the minute is charged as a carbon tax. And they're all on things like home fuels. And when the tax was announced, the government actually admitted, yes, this will impact on people on low incomes for winter heating.
Well, yeah, because
that's the solution to a financial crisis. Give $13 billion away to Tim Geithner of the Federal Reserve, and then watch old people freeze to death.
The power company's not going to absorb that. Every time you hear something about health care or whatever, some sort of health care change like this supposed Obamacare, you know, the insurance companies, they're not going to absorb that. They're going to spread it out and divide it up amongst their people out there, their customers. And with that said, they're going to pay higher everything just because somebody's supposedly trying to benefit all of humanity. Well, they've done a bang-up job, if you ask me.
Well, when they collected all that money, they lost that money for fighting, you know, carbon in the air and all that in our environment that you used to give your donation to when you got out and playing and stuff. Look, man, one volcano eruption, it does more carbon monoxide and carbon and everything and poisonous gases into the air than all the cars around the world can do for like 800 years. So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
But we've had quite a few, and they're creating earthquakes. Come on now.
And for those folks out there that think it's not possible to create an earthquake, let me give you a couple examples. One, fracking. Fracking can cause an earthquake because if you're drilling near a fault line, you cause little rocks to fall off of big rocks, and so far the fault line slips. Fracking can also be caused by dynamiting too close to a fault line and causing little rocks to slip. If you know about how a opera singer raises her voice, his or her voice, there's guys out there that can do it as well, to the right resonancy of a crystal glass, they can get that crystal glass to begin to vibrate so rapidly that it literally shatters. You can do the same thing with radio frequencies. You can aim it directly towards a fault line and vibrate that thing. Think about it as when you're in a car and somebody turns the bass up really loud, like those little kids that go down the road with their cars and they got that whole doom, 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 doom thing going on, you know? And you can see the windows in the trunk on that car vibrating. Sound frequencies. You can literally create an earthquake using sound frequencies. And so with that said, if you think the science isn't there, do some research. We're not talking Star Trek. We're not talking science fiction. This is science fact. They really can do this stuff. There's an actual document out there called Owning the Weather by 2025, put out by the U.S. Military Academy. Go read that document called Owning the Weather by 2025. Essentially what it's talking about is weaponizing weather so that they can literally, you can't move your army tanks if your army tanks are up to their neck in mud. You know what I'm saying? Or if there's an earthquake.
Don't forget weather warfare.
Yeah.
Don't forget weather warfare. They send weather.
That's what I'm saying.
We've experienced some of that.
So this isn't some sort of tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy, and that's another thing that aggravates me because they can't even get their metals right. It's not tinfoil, it's aluminum foil. All right? Call me aluminum foil head, then I say, okay, you're politically correct, but call me a tinfoil head, you're showing your stupidity by not even knowing what aluminum foil is. So how you gonna call me stupid that I'm saying a conspiracy when you can't even do that? Well, I'm gonna be a wax paper head. They should be able to get that right, wax paper head.
We'll call you Chrome Dome.
There you go.
Chrome Dome.
Oh, excellent. Tinfoil is just a tinfoil is just a throwback from the old days because back in the early days that used to be what it was. It was made out of tin. And people would use it over and over and over.
It was pre-Second World War, wasn't it? And then tin became much of a commodity for the war, so they ended up aluminum.
Yeah, but they're still...
They started making it aluminum foil.
American, they say, aluminum.
Here in the mainstream, the updated society where we have cell phones, you think they could get it right now because it's not back in the old days anymore. We do have aluminum foil. That's on your store shelf.
And great for making pastas. Steve has aluminium foil.
Well,
I don't know what you Yankees used it, but
you call it tomato, I call it tomato, or vice versa.
No, we call it English shazizz.
Oh,
aluminium.
Aluminium. That's right.
That's it, yeah.
I'm just going to say wax paper, man, because if they can get by with saying tinfoil, I'm just going to call it wax paper.
That thin metal stuff I put around my sandwich.
There you go. And on your head to keep the radiation out.
I told Steve about the aluminum, and he's calling it aluminium. I said, how come y'all call it aluminium? He said, we're saying it right. He said, it's y'all Americans that just mess up the English language.
Y'all do hot.
Well, you know what?
From the other colony.
What?
I mean, don't just my colony went nasty ribbon. The all bread.
The other he's got to get me a motorcycle helmet and stuff it full of about several layers of it. That'll be all right. That'll keep the microwaves out of my head.
All right. Well, while we're talking about, you got cornbread over there in Australia?
Oh, we do now, as of about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Oh, well, there you go. Cornbread.
The original name of that was Louisiana Wedding Cake.
Thanks to Kent, he gave my wife the recipe, and I was nomming down some of that stuff the other week. Quite enjoyable.
Well, Kent's going to spoil you rotten, man. We're going to send you some fruitcake. That's like an act of war.
Oh, God. Not the fruitcake.
I love fruitcake, man.
Really?
Oh, that is rare in Australia.
Oh, man.
Fruitcake.
Cultus likes fruitcake? Oh, God.
Fruitcake's the fruitcake, man.
Well, you guys must have...
This is something that you have to understand, Shazizz, is I went to Australia in 2011, and it's the only airport out of the 40 countries I've visited where everybody else says, have you got any knives, guns, explosives, anything dangerous to take on the plane? But when you get to Australia, they say, have you got any fruit?
Yes.
They don't care if you've got a thermonuclear device shoved in your shoe, as long as you ain't got an apple in your pocket.
Yeah, man, don't want to destroy our entire, ecological system with your nasty little fruit flies and your other bacterials that live on your fruit. We don't want them.
Well, let me ask you a question then. If I can manage to get past the TSA with a box of fruitcake, will I make it into Australia safely?
Of course.
Because it's going to take some smuggling to do, because around here fruitcake's a bad word. You give fruitcake to people you don't like for Christmas.
Hey, fruitcake is one of the longest lasting, I think is the longest lasting food on the face of the earth.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
There's an alternative. There's an alternative.
You vacuum it, there's no air. Basically, that fruit, they had one that was sitting out. And basically, after they scraped the outside layer off, that sucker was still good inside because it's so thick, so dense, and got so much sugar as a preservative.
It's a cheeseburger.
That's a good food to keep.
It's also alternative building material because you could build a bridge or a house or a skyscraper. And you can use it for a weapon.
As well.
I'm telling you, you hit somebody.
It's so long lasting, you can use it for footings, whatever.
Yeah, you hit somebody with a fruitcake.
The traditional Christmas cake in the UK, you might actually start making that in March. Because you put things like whiskey in it, and you leave it cure for 9 months before Christmas Day before you actually ice it.
Wow.
You want building bricks, man? Get my sister's biscuits.
Oh, well, if you want to knock somebody down, hit them with a fruitcake or one of Scott's sister's biscuits.
That's right.
That's right. They're like biscuit flavored. You just stars are like.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're about the size of hockey pucks, but I mean, them suckers are. They're stout.
We go from fruitcake to weaponizing fruitcake.
Yep, they'll take a tooth out.
Hey, no kidding, you can weaponize spaghetti.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you what's really easy to make, lads, and if you've got nothing else left and you want to cook something you can eat, get breadcrumbs, flour, and an egg with a little bit of milk and mix it together into like a thick paste and then fry it in a pan.
Well,
put herbs, all sorts of some pieces in it. They're very, very easy to cook.
That's definitely some mad science there, brother.
Bread, flour, and milk, you said?
Yeah, an egg as well.
Oh,
just beat them up together into a paste and then fry them in a pan, and you'll get these big pancakey biscuit things.
Well, what do you guys think about the Shout from the Mountain that we're putting on?
Who's bringing the loaves and fishes?
I think everybody out here could spend 2 or 3 minutes explaining everything. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think everybody out here could spend 2 minutes at least, just whatever bothers them about the world or what they like about the world. I mean, I want to hear some positive too. The only thing I don't want to hear is any cussing. I'll hit that hang up button in a heartbeat. But I don't know. I was thinking, should I haven't tried it yet much. I also haven't tried my link to the radio and everything. Your shazizz radio, but I'd like to sit there and try a simulcast on YouTube. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we need.
Heck, you can do that too, can't you?
Yeah, we need to get that going. They do have a live broadcast on YouTube set up, so if you want to do that as well, that'd be awesome. But here's the thing. If we give people a platform and they can share a positive message, see. My positive message would be that I want people out there to understand that each and every individual, no matter what color you are, what you look like, whether you think you're funny looking or whatever, every single individual on this planet is important. There's no man better than any other man. Just because I have the luxury of talking in front of a microphone on a massive network, that doesn't make me any better than the average Joe. I just have a bit of information that I'm trying to share with the world to throw my positive pebble into the pond. So if I'm standing on top of that mountain, I want to speak to the world some common sense, such as, instead of massing armies on borders of foreign nations, let's mass friendships on borders of foreign nations, and let's feed the hunger. Let's solve these problems that our supposed representatives around the world haven't been able to solve all these years. It's simple. It's basic. It's give somebody who's hungry food. Give somebody who's cold a blanket. Give somebody who needs a shirt on their back a shirt. Put a roof over a homeless man's head. It's that simple, and you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. If you're the best singer in the world, sing like an angel to somebody who needs lifted up. If you're the best cook, cook them a meal. You got skills, you got talent. Each and every individual out there is just as an important piece of the machinery that we call humanity. The machine doesn't work if you take out one of the gears. And so with that said, we need you. So what do you guys think?
I'll most certainly be running a bit of a session there for out on the mountain. And as Scott said, the only thing I don't want to hear is cussing either. Like I fully understand that people have to express themselves, but at the same time we are looking for positive expressions.
Yeah, we're talking to the world. We're talking to men, women, children, grandmothers, mothers, fathers. We're talking a respect to the world to tell them a message of hope or love or something that you would like seen done. And if you can't necessarily call in before this week is up, make an MP3 and send it to Cultus or I or Kent or Michael or Steve or whatever, and we will play that on our shows. And so that your message gets heard. We want you from all over the world, all points of the compass, to literally be heard. What do you think, Cultus?
If you're unable to make an MP3, call me up during the week. You all know that I'm around 99% of the time, so call me up.
Make a WAV file. Make a WAV file. You got Windows.
Yeah, but some people may not even know how to do those kinds of things. Like most people should, but for those who don't, and for those who just whatever, but. If you have trouble and you don't know how to, or you're unable to for one reason or another, call me up during the week, and I'll help you out. I'll do a pre-record through my system here, and we'll have it tucked away. And whoever's show or whoever's portion you want to be involved in, I'll send it on over to them, and you'll be a part of their show.
And and also, if you're on YouTube and you have a channel on YouTube, make a video. Make a video and we'll send the links out to everybody. A video can say just as much and show even more. So make a video of what it is that you would like to tell the world on this day.
Raw emotion is great.
Represent your nation to the best. Say what it is that you would say right in front of your mother and your children and be proud. Say what it is on your heart that you would love to see of our world moving towards a positive path as opposed to the destruction that we're on the path to right now. So make a video, make a sound, or call up on the radio, climb up the nearest mountain and call in live. Or if you ain't got a mountain, climb on the hill. Do whatever you can. If you ain't got a mountain or a hill, stand out in the yard or just make your voice heard. And that's what this is all about. This is your opportunity to literally speak to the world and tell them what it is that you believe.
Theoretically, it's a hypothetical mountain, so for not everyone has great wireless internet and can run out to a mountain. We fully understand that,
Yeah, stay away from the volcanoes.
Stay away from the volcanoes. No dipping your thermometer in the magma there.
Yeah, we don't want nobody hurt.
Unless you get it on film and send it to me. Go on my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Anyway, here's another thing. If you have the opportunity to celebrate that day, those 2 days in a row, and if you can get by with it, send up a balloon and say peace and love to the world, or fire off some fireworks if you live out in the country and you can get by with it. Celebrate these 2 days for all the nations of the world coming together. We'll start a holiday, and we'll do this every year. If we get enough people involved in this deal, we will keep this ball rolling every single year after year after year until it grows to everybody knows that one day out of this entire year, we put all of our differences aside. We show peace and love to the world of the entire nations of the world. Every man, woman, and child, every race, creed, color, background, or political view or whatever, You cannot fight with a stronger weapon than love itself. Does anybody disagree with that?
100% agree, mate. I think Paul Dub's trying to talk to you as well.
Oh, hey, I didn't hear you in there, Dub. I'm sorry about that, brother. You in Spain?
No, I just want to say hello, and yeah, still in Spain, catching the heat and enjoying enjoying myself, as I say. On the subject of communication, 2/3 of the world doesn't have internet. It's also the reason. So,
well, pass out flyers.
Take that into account.
Pass out flyers, pass out business cards, write them a note, send it, hand deliver it, send the message like they used to do back in the Pony Express days. Put a man on a horse and send a message to the next town, who can send a message to the next town. The people of the world are fixing to speak, and they're going to speak loudly. They're going to shout it from a mountain. So pass it on via your words, pass it on via your email. If you ain't got access to email, pass it on to a friend who will pass it on by foot, shake a brother's hand and say, the world is getting ready to speak this Saturday and Sunday, and we want to hear what they got to say. Man, I'm passionate.
Oh, yeah. I'll go with that.
I'm excited, guys.
I'll go with that, that's for sure. Also, look, I put a link in the chat box. Yeah. I put a link in the chat box there. There's a girl on YouTube I listened to this the last few months. I think she's from Virginia in the United States, Reverend Hopkins. And she's very clued up on how HARP works, and, I don't know all the ins and outs and how she has so many connections, but she always gets information ahead of time. Anyway, she's put out an alert that FEMA Region 3 for September, October, November we'll have large amounts of United Nations troops brought in to learn how to use American weapons and learn how to use, learn English and all this sort of stuff. Now, what it's all about, I don't know, but FEMA Region 3 is a big region. It's New York and Washington, I think it's Carolina. It's all that kind of corner of America. It's a big chunk.
Well, brother,
maybe about,
everybody needs to keep their eyes peeled to make sure that we keep information going like what you just said. If we know it's there, if we know it's fact, let's make sure that everybody knows. And because, they can't do nothing under the radar if we're sitting there pointing them out at every turn.
This is it. And the thing is, for the group, I would push Reverend Hopkins as a very reliable source. Start monitoring her YouTube, each week or thereabouts.
Can you get her? Can you get her? Hey, Dublin, can you get her on the Knights of the Round Table?
I don't know. I've never communicated with her, but
well, give it a
Done
shot.
the last couple of weeks, a few radio shows, so that's quite unique. She wasn't doing any radio shows before this.
All right. Before we get too far in, Steve, that song that you want me to play is it PG? You still there, Steve?
Most certainly is.
Okay, guys, we're gonna before we lose too much time, we're gonna go ahead and play the song. It's about 5 minutes and 16 seconds, but Steve recommends that everybody hears this song, and so we're gonna take a quick break and play this if that's all right with everybody.
Go for it, mate.
Okay, here we go, folks.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we're back. So, Steve, what's that song mean to you?
Why should anybody in the 21st century, with all our technology and abilities, have to be in the position where they feel that they've been to the point of no return?
I agree, brother.
That song's over 20 years old, shazizz.
And that's the thing. Music is a wonderful thing. It's a medium by which people speak from their heart, and they try to get their message. And if they can get the tune just right, they actually get their message out there to a lot of people, man. And so with that said, music's like gold. I love music. I think all of us can agree with that. Music, it can soothe your soul, it can lift you up, and it can bring you down too. So with that said, that's like the power of the spoken word, the power of the pen, the power of your actions. All of it makes a difference, everything. What do you guys think? Don't everybody jump on the horse at once.
We're all too polite, that's our problem. We're waiting for the next one to throw in their point.
I'm not.
Please go.
Yeah, you got to direct your question What are you guys thinking? We're all waiting for somebody else to chime in. So.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you think, Kent?
Hey, it's all good.
Cultist?
Build a mountain in my living room.
All right, Bill.
And it's going to be keen.
I get all my couch cushions and pile them up and sit on them during the show.
Kent, you going to stand on that mountain and shout your heart out to the world?
I certainly will.
Right on, brother. What about you, Cultist?
Oh, I most certainly will too, sir. I've already got a couple of things planned out, so.
All right, well, make sure your mountain's not wobbly if you build it out of couch cushions. I wouldn't want you to fall down.
Build it in a pyramid shape, because that's like the most stable structure known to mankind.
There you go. What about you, Steve?
I don't know. The last fellow I saw doing a mountain in his living room was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and he had to go all through all sorts of grief to get onto the other side of the planet and see aliens. So.
Well, you could
I'd watch that building mountains in the living room if I was you.
You could just ride up and down on an escalator shouting them every time you get to the top. Or an elevator. You might have to watch out for the security in the mall.
I mean, it keeps coming back to me that we're supposed to pay all these taxes for all these services. And in the Western world, 40% of what you do goes to someone else straight away before you even see any benefit from it.
Yeah, and that's a form of slavery, man.
And if 40% of what we're doing goes to the government, shouldn't there be fundamental constants like clean, fresh, unmedicated drinking water
to
all the homes without having to pay for it? Because we're paying 40% on average of what we earn straight off the bat. And then we pay value-added taxes, and we pay property taxes, and there's all these taxes on top that go into a consolidated fund.
Not to mention...
Now, that consolidated fund would easily run a water system in any country.
And how? No, I agree with you, brother. Not to mention that when these companies take their work overseas and pay kids 50 cents a day or a week or whatever to basically work in what would be the equivalents of unsafe slave conditions, and then turn around and bring it over here and sell it at the local Walmart for 300% markup or more, you know, it's ridiculous. It's using one portion of society to benefit other portions of society in the long term to benefit the man at the top with the fat wallet. And why not, if you're going to have these people down there fixing and making stuff, why not have regulations across the board? If you're going to regulate us over here, you need to regulate those corporations that go to places like Mexico and Korea and Taiwan and all that kind of stuff, where they will literally take care of their people instead of abusing their people. You know, give them health care, give them food, give them what they need, give them a fair salary. You know, if you're going to do it, if you're going to do free and honest trade, at least make sure the people on the other side aren't getting screwed, if you know what I mean. What do you think, Kent?
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. It's a good idea, but in theory it's great, but in practice, how does that happen?
Well, I don't know, brother. I really don't know. You know, guys, we're coming down.
You can lead a horse to water, but you have a heck of a time making that thing drink.
Well, that's why I say.
Well, can't let them drink these days.
That's why I say, guys. That's why I keep on saying that it's going to be up to we, the people, to do it. You know, it's going to be up for the episodes like Shout from the Mountain. If you can't be a part of Shout It from the Mountain, make your own Shout It for a Mountain thing and get people involved. Get your voices heard. Raise your voices up to the highest points of heaven so that everybody hears you. You know, flood their email boxes, flood their phones, flood all the congressmen and the senators. Keep them on their toes 24/7. And I guarantee you, when these folks see the power of we the people and they hear the rumblings of the voices from every single nation continuously 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you're holding their feet to the fire, they ain't got no choice but to listen. They start getting afraid. Am I wrong?
Hey, Bob, I got something to add here. On the subject of what you shout out on the mountain. I mean, it's not just a grump or whatever. What I'd like to hear is not just one subject of it. I want to hear a variety. You know, like we know that the next real war is water, but there's another deal here. We're killing off the food supply.
Yep.
Well, you know, I mean, one thing I'd really like the world to know, I mean, we go on a whole different bunch of subjects. This is basically what I'm getting at. But as an example, one subject is all these little plastic bottles, the plastic cellophanes, the wrappers, all this stuff, it floats like a ping pong ball. So when it rains, it gets washed down into the gully, then it gets washed into the sewers, then it gets washed into the river, and it floats. And it biodegrades, kinda. It gets real small and fragile as the sun hits it, and it stays right at the water, the level of the water, and the sun just degrades it. It gets into small chunks about the size of plankton and a little bit bigger. And the fish, it goes across the sea, it goes around the world, winds up on the shores, even in Ireland. Our trash here in America is over there, and I mean, it's doing it from all over the world, mixing all over the place. But this is getting down. The fish try to eat plankton, and they're getting clogged and starved with the plastic.
Yeah, I agree, brother.
It's killing our food supply. It's killing the world.
There's also
and the barrier reefs. There's so many subjects to get on. Basically, what I'm trying to get at.
You know, there's also that great big floating trash island out in the Pacific. That big swirling mass of plastic out there.
Yep. And
it's two of them. They're kind of going figure eight style.
And you know, it's ironic because there's folks in England that were literally making gasoline, fuel out of bottles. And so instead of throwing this in the garbage or down in your local creek, take it to a recycling center and let's use this to solve the so-called energy crisis. Hey guys, we're down to the last 5 minutes of the show. And so I would like to do like I do on the Nights of the Round Table and go around and let you guys have your last word. Try to make it brief because after our show is Beverly's Hope show, and whoever's broadcasting after that, we got some good shows on the way. And so if you're not hearing this via Wake Radio or We Roar Radio, you have the option to go to Shazizz Radio at www.shazizzradio.com and join in over there. So we got plenty of content for everybody from all different networks, and so join their chat rooms, join our chat rooms, just come around and keep this thing going. What do you guys got to say? You want to start, Kent?
Well, I hope everybody has a good rest of the day. Planning on being here tomorrow on the Nights of the Round Table, so everybody, coin the words of Shazizz, peace and love.
And Hal, brother. What about you, Cultus?
Yeah, pretty much the same deal, mate. Everyone take care, and we'll all see you tomorrow night. And don't forget, Pulse Motor Build-Off competition beginning in 24 hours, so head over to rwgresearch.com or over to the iaec.forumco.com and get involved. Some wicked prizes to be had, so you want to be involved, that's for sure. Brand new oscilloscopes and camera glasses and digital vernier calipers, and you name it. All kinds of...
You know, Cultus, I want to win that just so I can donate the scope to you.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Right on. What about you, Scott?
Oh, shoot. Many good things to you and yours. I think I opened my mouth long enough. Y'all go ahead.
All right, but you did a fine job, brother. What about you, Steve?
Damn straight.
Dublin, are you there?
Yeah, what I want to say in the story of the rubbish is that big island of plastic rubbish out in the Pacific. Well, there's always that expression, one man's junk is another man's gold.
And how, brother?
And, I mean, yeah. And I've been working on this idea for quite some time, figuring out how to get hold of a ship so we could sail out there and get all that bloody plastic and scoop it up and convert it back into oil.
Well, that's a good idea.
I mean, there's a lot of oil out there. It's waiting
really
to be grabbed.
Go ahead, Kent.
I've been thinking the same thing, my friend, and I think if you go out there with a couple of barges with some basically ramps that have chain bars on them to scoop it up, it'd be pretty easy, and then just haul it all back, bail it up and haul it back. Anyway,
all right.
My thought ends there.
All right, guys, thanks again. It was a spectacular show. I look forward to seeing you on the Nights of the Round Table. The other networks are tapping me on the shoulder and saying they're ready for the Hope Show. So we're going to play us up out of here with a quick tune, and we might run a couple minutes over there. But I got to play this tune because to me it speaks words, and I hope it speaks words to you too. So peace and love, everybody, and thank you very, very, very much for everything.
No problem, mate.
Hasta la bow wow.